Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Stan Houston. This is The Master Entrepreneur, the Sunday night edition of this iPod radio broadcast, which flows into Monday, where we all meet the marketplace. It's been a rather interesting week, and I trust that the programs we did were of interest to you and challenged you in some way, perhaps helpful to you, not only in your entrepreneurship, but in your life. First of all, I was challenged by my friend Joe, who said, hey, pray for your friends. And the story that the book of Job in the Hebrew Scriptures is not about patience. Indeed, it's about praying for your friends. What do you think about that? And then my colleague, at least in a project, said, when you pray, you should pray for wisdom. That's what you should pray for. God knows what you need or want, but do what Solomon did. Pray for wisdom. And that's been a rather striking point for me. In fact, my wife Karen and I, as we've gone through some real issues, particularly in ways we can help our children, and we just said, pray for wisdom. And we prayed for wisdom. And we continue to do that. And then again, a challenge, which is perhaps that we should say thank you 100 times every day. Say thank you 100 times every day. Thank you to God. Thank you to everybody you meet who does something for you, has done something for you. And maybe you just say thank you because life itself, day by day, breath by breath, is yours. 100 thank yous a day. Did any of you try and put any of that into practice? Those 3 lessons for the week. Well, today I'd like to start with a message that struck me. Now, during the summer, we've had some rather interesting car troubles. You know, the whole deal. Well, early in the spring, we got a new battery because obviously the car stopped. The AAA came out and said, your battery's dead. So we went in and we got a new battery. Well, that worked fine for a while, but shortly after that, the battery went dead again. And it was only 3 months old, and it had a rather 3-year warranty. So, of course, we took it into the dealer, and he said, yeah, it's dead all right. And then he went and did a check, and he said, and it's going to die again because your alternator is not putting out enough current to keep it charged. So if ever you run it quite a bit, it will probably die down again. But it's not the battery. It's not getting enough alternator current. Of course, you know the deal. Well, then we had to buy a new alternator. And that worked fine. We were glad for that. And then all of a sudden, we had an incident where we went in and the car wouldn't start. Well, we tried it again, and finally it started. Well, what was that all about? Well, then there was no problem for a while. But then again, it happened again in a very vital place. The car wouldn't start. What's going on? We have a new alternator. We have a new battery. Well, you know what happened. The guy said, well, you know, you've got a lot of miles on this car, and I think it's the starter. I think it's beginning to go, and you never know when it will finally just not go at all. And he was right, and so, of course, we got a new starter. And then on Thursday, when I was going to do another program, I went out to help my wife with a project with her business on how to make statement jewelry. She was going to a gem show here in Tucson. The car wouldn't start. Okay, got a new starter, new battery, new alternator. What's the deal? Well, we took it into the shop again, and they looked at it, and about 2 or 3 other of the senior mechanics who just happened to be there started to look at it. And the guy came out and said, you know, something's taking current out of your battery when the car is standing still. Something is draining the battery. So we have to check it out. Well, he then said to me, well, it'll take a little while to diagnostic the electrical system, and there's an $80 charge just for the diagnostic work. Could take us 5 minutes, 15 minutes. It could take us an hour or 2, but we got to do that. They did, and within 10 minutes, one of the guys came out and said, you know what, that Bluetooth, that hands-free feature, the part that does that is not working anymore. But unfortunately, it works by not turning itself off. So whenever the car is at rest, that's drawing current out, and it will keep drawing current out, sometimes up to 1 amp, and your battery will be dead. And I said, what do we have to do about that? And he said, well, do you use it? And I said, not really. He said, let's just take it out. Let's just disconnect it. That's what happened, and so finally, after my 5-minute story, which all of you can relate to, we took it out. But here's the point I want to make. Really, the men who gathered around my car, and they were men of senior experience, looked at it, and then the one guy came up to me and said, here's the problem. And you know what? He could have obviously said a number of things, because I didn't have any idea. But he was the one who told me exactly what it was, because of his years of experience, he found it out right away. And he knew something about the car, and particularly the brand of car I have, and he fixed it. And he fixed it right away. And his friends helped him, and within 15 minutes, I was back on the road, and it's working fine. Good experience. I was deeply moved, and I can also tell you this, particularly one of the men who was most helpful, I could just sense it. I could just feel it. You know, the old expression which we use, particularly when I go out to the Dude Ranch, is, the souls that love God are like horses. They know each other by smell. I just knew. And it never came up, and we never talked about it, but I could tell that he was a man of the Spirit. He really was. His response to me, his smile, his energy, I just knew. And I'm on my way. And I got a letter from the manager who came back to me, and he said, tell me how it went, because I had talked to him before. And I thanked him, and I thought, what is the word that I can use? And this is what came to me. Thank you to your colleagues. Please commend them. And here's what I said. What they do well. And they are gentlemen. Yes, what they are gentlemen. They do it well, and what they are gentlemen. And they were. And I just simply want to share that with you. Sometimes as a joke, I say, ladies and gentlemen, and if that's not the description, at least it's an aspiration. And I am more and more convinced that, in effect, the loss of the idea of when we stand before people, we're gang members or team members or players, whatever it might be, maybe there's something to be said for those of us who want to build a business, that we go back to the old school that says, what you do is you act and dress like and teach other and help your colleagues and customers simply as ladies and gentlemen. That might get me into a bit of trouble, but that's okay, because I believe it's true. What would the world be like? When one of my friends died, his name was Dick, and I just simply rose at the funeral and said, my friend Dick was a very successful businessman, but more than that, he was a Christian gentleman. And I sat down. You would not believe how many people came to me afterwards and said, your tribute to Dick struck me profoundly. What a nice thing to have said about a man. Ladies and gentlemen, perhaps one of the things you want to do is to ask yourself, as I lead my business, can it be said of me? They're good at their business, and a gentleman or a gentle lady is what they are. Please let that just sit on your head for a while this Sunday night. Well, that's my story. First of all, it truly is a story of a small local business here in Tucson who got the right manager and the right people. And this whole thing about customer experience, it didn't come down to the shop or the decorations or anything like that. It came down to the 3 men who gathered around the hood of my car and made it all right. They made it all right. And they did so in a kind and generous way that all I could say is what they do is they do well. And what they are gentlemen. That's my story for tonight. And as I move forward, hopefully praying for my friends, praying for wisdom, saying thank you 100 times, we're going to be talking about more and more. How can I simply be a gentleman to colleagues, customers, clients, and even to some of those people who don't deserve it, and even to every stranger that I meet? Earl Nightingale once said, the secret to success is to treat every person you meet as the most important person in the world. Why don't you try that this week? Treat every person you meet as the most important person in the world. And then thank God for the opportunity to have done just that. We're done. We're done. Hey, lots of new things coming. Some of you have asked me, Stan, you talked about how to quit your soul-sucking job. Would there be a way for us to see that particular little course or class on how to quit your soul-sucking job? Because a lot of people in the year to come, they want to quit their job. They want to get something else new in their life. Well, we've got some ideas, and perhaps we'll find a way to put that video and that audio program together. So for those of you who care, why don't you raise your hand and say, Stan? And you go radioedge77@gmail.com, radioedge77@gmail.com. I do want to quit my soul-sucking job this year. Please teach me how I might do that. On the other hand, you are going to have to learn how to do radio and video if you want your business to succeed in the years that come. And we're going to help you do that. You're going to have to do that, whether you like it or not. I didn't want to get a cell phone, but I did. I didn't want to get a fax machine, but finally I had to do that. I didn't want to get a computer with a modem, but eventually I had to do that. And you may not want to do audio and video work as a part of your communications and marketing and business, but I'm sorry, you're going to have to do that. But we're here to be honest, hopefully a gentleman, and help you learn how to do that. Once again, reach out to me at radioedge77@gmail.com, radioedge77@gmail.com. This, The Master Entrepreneur, is brought to you by The Christian Entrepreneur. And you can find out more about the sponsorship at tcenglobal.org, tcenglobal.org. And we're a nonprofit organization, so if this program is helpful to you, we'd be grateful for your sponsorship and a contribution, and perhaps just a way to say thank you for who you are, and perhaps what we are, and what we can do for each other. Have a good week. Bye for now.